An American Tory sailed to North Sentinel Island. Today we're looking at Sunnyview 2. Guys, I don't know why people enjoy it when I watch these. I think I've said that 1,000 times, but I know a thing or two about this story. So I was intrigued. And also the man makes good videos.
On the 15th of November 2018, John Allen Chau took a boat to North Sentinel Island expecting a peaceful welcome. He never made it back home. Although before we talk about who he was, what he was doing, and how he came to meet his fate, let's first talk about the island itself. Located in the Bay of Bengal between India and Thailand, North Sentinel Island measures 6 kilometers wide, 8 kilometers long, and is home to one of the last uncontacted tribes on all of planet Earth.
That is so unbelievable to me that it's the home of an the fact that that's a thing. Like, people could live their whole lives now without ever knowing, and most people did, I'm sure. The fact that we have the internet now and it's so easy to find information on crazy stuff that just isn't that common. It's wild. There's a tribe of people who have no idea what Twitter is. Shit, but I'm going.
Who have an estimated population of between 15 and 500 people. However, there's a reason why taking an accurate measurement is almost impossible. They're unbelievably hostile to anybody who tries to visit the island. The first example of this came in 1867 when an Indian merchant ship wrecked on the island's reef. And while the 106 passengers might have thought that they'd stumbled upon paradise, this couldn't have been further from the truth. Without warning, the ship's crew were attacked by the tribe's bow and arrows and were only able to survive by returning fire with sticks and stones found on the beach. They were rescued by a British steamboat 1 week later, yet the captain of the shipwreck went on to describe the Sentinelese by writing, "The savages were perfectly naked with short hair and red painted noses, and were opening their mouth and making sounds like pa on oh. Their arrows appeared to be tipped with iron."
They have iron tipped arrows? What the fuck? And also, this is probably rude to insinuate, but they've got to be very inbred, right? If there's only 15 to 500 of them, they can't leave the island, and this was a long time ago. Shit, bud. You give me 15 buddies in 500 years, I'm gonna make some inbred people. I'm already inbred as shit. And we got way more than 15 people in Appalachia.
The intriguing nature of the tribe led a party of armed British officials to return 13 years later in 1880, at which point they'd find, quote, a network of pathways and several small villages that looked to have been freshly abandoned. They'd eventually find 4 Sentinelese children, as well as an elderly couple, who were kidnapped by the party and taken back to the nearby city of Port Blair. However, their stay didn't last very long, as all 6 Sentinelese sickened rapidly and the old man and his wife died, so the 4 children were sent back to their home with quantities of presents.
Dude, the British love doing that. They love killing people with disease and then just bringing back presents.
A Hindu convict escaped on a makeshift raft from the adjacent Great Andaman Island, only to wash up 50 kilometers west in the worst place imaginable.
That's a hell of a raft.
Sentinel. A search party found his body lying on the beach pierced with iron arrows, with his death sending a clear enough message for nobody to return to the island for almost 80 years. However, in 1974, a film crew shooting a documentary called Man in Search of Man landed on the island to leave gifts.
We came at last to what is known as the North Sentinel Island. Although some expeditions had landed here, the Sentinelese had never been sighted. We left gifts of coconut, knives, lengths of cloth,
after which the Sentinelese were caught on camera for the very first time.
What are those moving shapes? Are they human?
What else would they be?
At last, the first glimpse of the Sentinelese. This tribe believes in total isolation. It will not tolerate a stranger.
As is obvious in the footage, the tribe had no interest in making friends, and rather buried half of the gifts they'd been given before shooting arrows toward the film crew.
It is so awesome. I knew all this stuff. I knew that this documentary crew went there, but I didn't know there was footage of it. I assumed, I just didn't look, I guess. It's crazy seeing the footage of them burying the stuff. Such a fascinating idea. A group of uncontacted people that just do not want to be contacted at all, and we just keep on. Hey, what you doing? What are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing?
Of our film unit was wounded by one of the many arrows, each 2.5 meters long.
Holy shit.
He will carry this scar till his death.
If on Google Maps you zoom into the coastline on the island's northwest corner, you'll find a different boat which now acts as a permanent reminder of North Sentinel's hostility and unrecoverability.
The whole point of this video is a guy went there because he thought, you'll see. It's Why would the fuck would you ever want to go to this place?
However, while almost every example so far displays the Sentinelese as an untouchable group of brutes, it would be exactly 10 years later when a single anthropologist did the impossible. He made peaceful contact for the very first time. T and Pandit had been dropping gifts and coconuts to the island every 1 or 2 months since 1967.
That's pretty impressive.
Although for the first 24 years of doing so, the Sentinelese maintained their hostility. But all of this changed on the 4th of January 1991.
They're so jacked.
When the tribe finally concluded that he was only there to help.
See, that's based, and that's awesome. That's really cool. That guy did it right. That must be insane, though, being able to actually break down the communication. I wonder what they were saying, the Sentinelese. I wonder what they were saying to each other to like convince the patrols or whatever to not kill this man. He has coconuts. He's a good man.
After the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake caused the worst tsunami in recorded human history right next to North Sentinel Island, a helicopter was sent out to see if the tribe had survived from such a catastrophic event.
Insane.
Well, not only were the Sentinelese somehow doing just fine, but their response to the help offered by the Indian government was to throw spears, arrows, and rocks toward the helicopter.
Good, yeah,
2
fuck
years
the
later,
helis.
in 2006, 2 men aged 48 and 52 were fishing for mud crabs near the island.
Mud crabs?
However, the pair got so drunk that while sleeping, the anchor of the boat, which was a rock tied to a rope, fell apart and drifted the men toward North Sentinel.
Genius.
The following morning, fellow fishermen said they tried to shout at the men and warn them that they were in danger. However, they did not respond. They were probably drunk, and the boat drifted into the shallows where they were attacked and killed.
That's unfortunate. Also, how many people are always around this island? If there's people yelling at them to not get so close, so the Sentinelese just see people all the time, and they just don't. It must be some kind of dogma, some kind of interesting psychology. I think we should go.
Government helicopter was sent to recover the bodies. However, given the tribe's hostility, all they were able to get was this photo, after which a 5.6 kilometer exclusion zone was enforced by the Indian government, making it illegal for anybody to visit the island. This, in combination with every other example so far, paints a very simple picture. Do not visit North Sentinel Island under any circumstances.
Yes, don't go.
However, unfortunately, John Allen Chau never got the message. Born on the 18th of December 1991 in the state of Alabama, John grew up in what seemed to be a standard Christian household with 2 parents and 2 siblings.
Well, there's an idea. Maybe don't do that. Brave people, missionaries, they believe they're doing they believe they're doing God's work quite literally, and that is it doesn't end that well sometimes.
On the 21st of October 2018, John posted this image to social media, showing that he was back in the nearby city of Port Blair, where unbeknownst to his family, he was planning his trip to what he called Satan's last stronghold.
That's just disrespectful.
I met last night with the fishermen who were all believers and agreed to drop me off. Jonathan won't be accompanying me as they will be at sea doing their regular fishing maneuvers to avoid raising suspicion, and there is a high chance that they get checked by the Indian Coast Guard. The meeting went well. I trust them, though I'm the only English speaker, so there's quite a language gap, and I'm relying on the Holy Spirit to direct us. The drop zone was
oof, man, oof. There's so many oof moments here. Also, why doesn't the Indian government just remove the exclusion zone and just let people do this? Why not just let people do it? If they want to go, then they can go and they can find out. They can fuck around and find out. That's what you do. Let them go, man. Let them go. Don't go. I wouldn't say go. But why is it? I don't understand why it has to be illegal. I guess because they have to clean up the bodies and shit.
At 4:30, we entered the cove on the western shore, which was followed by his first attempt at contact approximately 4 hours later. Around 8:30, I got 2 large fish, around 15 pounds it felt like. I put them on top of the kayak and began rowing. 2 armed Sentinelese came rushing out yelling at me. They had 2 arrows each unstrung until they got closer. I hollered, "My name is John. I love you and Jesus loves you. Jesus Christ gave me the authority to come to you." I regret I began to panic slightly as I saw them string arrows in their bows. I picked up the half tuna and threw it toward them. They kept coming. I backpaddled facing them, and then when they got the fish, I turned and paddled like I never have in my life back to the boat. I felt some fear, but mainly was disappointed they didn't accept me right away. I can now say I've been nearly shot by the Sentinelese, and I've walked on and cached gear on their island. Now I'm resting on the boat and will try again later.
No.
John escaped his first encounter unharmed. However, as mentioned in the previous entry, he planned on returning for a second encounter, which miraculously he'd survived once again. I waited my kayak toward the hut I'd been chased from on initial contact. Sure enough, as I got there, I heard the whoops and shouts from the hut. I made sure to stay out of arrow range, but unfortunately that meant I was also out of good hearing range.
God, it makes me feel so uncomfortable thinking about this sort of situation. This poor guy, misguided man, I guess. I don't really know. Beliefs aside, I feel like that's borderline insanity. I mean, that is really crazy, but he believes in some greater thing beyond just his own worldly existence. He thinks this is more important. Bring God to the people of North Sentinel Island. I say, leave him alone, get rid of that exclusion zone, and let the FAFO take over, bud. Darwinism.
I got a little closer, and as they, about 6 from what I could see, yelled at me, I tried to parrot their words back to them. They burst out laughing most of the time, so
That's
they probably
cool.
were saying bad words or insulting me. I yelled some phrases and sang them some worship songs and hymns, and they would often fall silent.
I saw Jesus on the hill the other day.
Here's when this nice meet and greet went south. A child and a young woman, both with bows, came behind, and I kept waving my hands to say no bows, but they didn't get the memo, I guess. Then a little kid with bow and arrow came down the middle, and I figured this was it. So I preached a bit to them starting in Genesis, and disembarked my kayak to show them that I too have 2 legs. But the little kid shot me with an arrow directly into my Bible, which I was holding in front of my chest. I stumbled back, and I recall yelling at the kid for shooting me. I had to swim almost a mile back to the boat at the mouth of the cove. The plan now is to rest and sleep on the boat.
You just got shot.
By this point, John already had an unbelievable story for the ages.
He just got shot.
He had gone to the island, survived his first day, returned on a second day, was shot by the Sentinelese point blank, but lived to tell the tale after the pages in his Bible decided to spare his life.
If he was a YouTuber, he'd still... Nah, I shouldn't say that.
However, as the journal entries continued, it became obvious that John was happy for his legacy to be the guy who died trying to preach his religion to the tribe.
Wild.
Lord, let your will be done. If you want me to get actually shot or even killed with an arrow, then so be it. I think I could be more useful alive though, but to you, God, I give all the...
Yeah, just stay alive. What about your family, bro?
Before going on to write a goodbye message to his family reading, Brian and Marilyn and Mum and Dad. You guys might think I'm crazy in all of this, but I think it's worth it to declare Jesus to these people. Please do not be angry at them or at God if I get killed. Rather, please live your lives in obedience to whatever he calls you to, and I'll see you again when you pass through the veil.
I did get goosebumps. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. That is wild. That's pretty impressive, honestly. That's a lot of responsibility taken. Still insane.
His family made a post to John's Instagram reading.
We
recently learned from an unconfirmed report that John Allen Chau was reported killed in India while reaching out to members of the Sentinelese tribe in the Andaman Islands. Words cannot express the sadness we have experienced about this report. He was a beloved son, brother, uncle, and best friend to us. To others, he was a Christian missionary, a wilderness EMT, an international soccer coach, and a mountaineer. He loved God, life, helping those in need, and had nothing but love for the Sentinelese people.
That is beautiful.
As a family, we ask for your understanding and respect for him and us during this time. Thank you, the Chau family.
That is beautiful.
3 months later, John's father criticized religion for the death of his son, stating, "If you have anything positive to say about religion, I wish not to see or hear it. John is gone because the Western ideology overpowered my Confucian influence. He blamed evangelicals' extreme Christianity for pushing his child to a not unexpected end, which is a viewpoint often repeated across social media platforms. John Allen Chau is not a martyr, just a dumb American who thought that tribals needed Jesus, when the tribals already lived in harmony with God and nature for years without outside interference. Stupidity cannot be considered to be a martyrdom."
I feel like insanity is more so the key here, not stupidity. I think he was very rational in his beliefs, and his basis of rationality was that Jesus, you know, it was like kind of a Jesus thing. He wasn't doing it because he was stupid, I feel like he was just doing it because he believed in something very, like, with a lot of effort and force.